Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Rotarians and guests. We're so glad to have you all with us today. Today's April 12th, and we are the Rotary Club of Gainesville. At this time, guests and visiting Rotarians joining us virtually on Zoom, please go ahead and identify yourself in the chat. And if you're watching on YouTube, please register your participation by sending an email to info@rotarygainesville.org. Pete Enwall, would you mind leading us in song and pledge?
When I was doing wills, I had a lady come in and asked me if she told me what she wanted. She said that she wanted in her will to be to let people know that she wanted to be cremated, and that she wanted her ashes to be scattered in Walmart. I said, "Why Walmart?" She said, "Well, I want to make sure that my daughters visit me twice a week." We're going to sing "My Country 'Tis of Thee" today. My country 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride, from every mountain side, let freedom ring. Join me in pledging allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Pete. At this time, Ian Fletcher, would you please lead us in our prayer?
Good afternoon, everyone. Let us pray. To the Almighty, our keeper, the one that preserves us, yet another day to show our gratitude to you and each other. You know all things. We beseech thee, our Heavenly Father, to bestow thy grace upon this meeting. As we enjoy our fellowship with one another, let us not forget those who are sick and in need in our community and the world. May you grant them relief. Deliver those that are in need. Make a way for those who are burdened. Help us to grow in stature, wisdom, and favor, so that we may be able to give more to our community and provide strength to the ideals of Rotary in service to humanity. Amen.
Thank you very much, Ian. You may be seated at this time, though. We would like to go ahead and ask any visiting, we have any guests, Rotarians with guests or visiting Rotarians, if you would stand and we'll pass the microphone around.
Good morning. I'm Mary Crane, and this is my guest, McCabe Harrison. He's a state law attorney, and he's my grandson-in-law.
Oh, welcome. Welcome, McCabe.
Do we have any more Rotarians with guests?
All righty. Thank you, Jason. All right. At this time, we have a poem. John Gregory, would you like to come up?
This is called Hoppy Easter. I'll wait. They made a new ale that's tops. It'll make anyone stare and stops. It's called Peter Cotton Ale. You know it won't fail because it's made of extra hops. At Easter, the preacher says, "Let us pray." But Sunday will be the Rabbit's Day. And indeed, we all know the government will show that the Lord giveth and the IRS taketh away. I've always had my problems and fears. The Easter Bunny brought it in for cheers. Bunny always happy. He's never crappy. And everyone needs a friend with all ears. Tom Collette Open fridge saw Bunny nesting, but the Easter Bunny continued contesting. He wanted Bunny out. This is a Westing house. Well, you see, Bunny said, I'm Westing. Happy Easter.
Thank you, John. We appreciate it. All right. Ryan Thompson, you want to come forward and talk about Rotary rebuilding together?
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. We have another opportunity on May 7th to help Rebuilding Together of North Central Florida. We'll work from about 8 or 9 to about 1 to 2 in the afternoon, helping a very deserving family rebuild their home so that they can stay in their home. I'll send out more information on it. We love helping this program once a year. We helped them recently in the fall, and we're looking forward to helping them again this spring. So again, May 7th, pardon me. We're also looking at May 6th, the Friday before. If you can work that day, I know it's a work day, but we'd really like to get out there and help them. So if you can work on May 6th, please let me know as soon as you can. We'll get that arranged. Thank you.
All right, Ryan, thank you very much. At this time, I'm going to turn the program to our president, David Gracie.
Thank you, Melanie. Welcome, everyone. It's good to see everybody today. The weather continues to be beautiful here in North Central Florida. Yesterday evening, the board of directors met for our monthly meeting, and I just want to briefly pass on a few highlights that I think are relevant to you guys. First thing, we approved a request to fund an upcoming, I'm going to be sure I get the name of this entity just right, the Girl Scouts of Gateway Council's 30th annual Women Who Make a Difference dinner. This is something that we've been doing for a long time. We've had several honorees from our club participating in this dinner. And this year, what's really neat, it's not a dinner, it's actually a luncheon taking place on June 2nd, but our very own Anne Marie Rogers will have a distinctive honor of their Lifetime Achievement Award. So that's pretty neat. If I say this truly, if anyone would like to attend that luncheon on June 2nd, we don't know where it's going to take place yet, but if you want to go to that luncheon, let me know. We can arrange that for you. Another kind of similar in a way, funds request that we decided to support is the North Florida Council of Boy Scouts of America. And that is the Gainesville Friends of Scouting dinner that's actually taking place a week from Thursday on the 21st. So those are two organizations that there's a good bit of precedence with our club supporting those two. So I'm glad that the board agreed to continue that support of each of those organizations. Another important highlight is the approval of a new member application that was brought forth from Richard Allen, our new membership recruitment chair, I think is Richard's title there. But Richard's doing such an amazing job continuing to bring quality new Rotarians to our club. And Cornelia Holbrook is a new member as of yesterday evening. So welcome, Cornelia. There she is. Good. Welcome, Cornelia. Wonderful. Finally, and this was finally during our board meeting, we talked about the district conference coming up, the 6970 conference that I mentioned the last week or two. And it's taking place on the 29th of April, the 29th and the 30th. That's a Friday, Saturday. And, just kind of functionally, I'll tell you that the discount for rooms, that pricing has been extended through this Thursday. So if you haven't yet signed up, I'd encourage you to do so. There's several of us on the board who will be attending. And also past District Governor John Bruner will be attending, and he gave us some really good perspective on kind of what happens at these district conferences. That you've got the assembly part, which is really it's training, and then the conference part where I think it's, pardon me, I don't try to overuse this word, but I think it's inspirational what you get from that, hearing about some of the projects and efforts that other clubs are doing, and we bring some of that back to our club and try to implement maybe some new things. So again, it's the 29th and 30th at the Hyatt in downtown Jacksonville. Would love for anyone who's interested in learning more about Rotary or becoming more involved to consider signing up. And with that, I just want to welcome everyone again today and ask Eric Godet to please come up and introduce our speaker.
Thank you, President David. It is truly my honor, Rotarians. I want to first say we had scheduled Jolene Cacciatore from the Gainesville Sports Commission to speak to you today. And unfortunately, she wasn't able to make it. But I could tell you it's great having an incredible club like this with connected members. And Dalton Baker made sure that I was able to get in touch with Justin Simek. And Justin Simek's going to be our speaker today. Just a few things about Justin as he comes up. His life mission is to fight human and child trafficking. He is living locally while finishing his commercial pilot training. Justin has already rescued multiple victims with support from law enforcement agencies. Justin also has started R3, a nonprofit organization that directly conducts rescue missions. And I'm going to let him tell you more about that. And please, let's give a great Rotary welcome and thank Justin for stepping up at the last minute to Justin Simek.
Well, good afternoon. So I appreciate y'all giving me your time this afternoon, and hopefully I can make it worth your while. Something we can all agree on: human trafficking and sex trafficking is horrible. My name is Justin Simek, as he said, and I've created an organization which helps unite people already waging war in the effort to rescue the victims of this inhumane trade. R3 is a non-government organization working with local and federal law enforcement agencies and network of nonprofits to recover victims of human trafficking. Once rescued, these survivors are transported to safe houses, recovery centers, and if needed, medical facilities where they can receive the care they need. R3 is comprised of former law enforcement, military, privately trained individuals who are focused on the recovery of American boys and girls, and who are willing to go wherever necessary to investigate, rescue, and recover victims. We work within a network of established foundations and nonprofits to help survivors recover from what they have endured. This network includes medical and mental care, addiction recovery, safe houses, and recovery centers, which help with rehabilitation and life skills. To date, R3 has aided in the recovery of over 30 women from sex trafficking. During some of these operations, not only were we able to rescue women, but some of the perpetrators were arrested, and in some cases, the facilities used traffic the women were shut down. So what is sex trafficking? It's the recruitment, harboring, transportation, provision, or obtaining of a person for the purpose of a commercial sex act. Here are some scary facts you may not know. There are approximately 300,000 sex trafficked children in the US at any given time. Globally, 99 billion is made from sex trafficking. 32 billion of that is America's annual profit from sex buyers and sellers. On average, any individual city can profit $40 to $300 million. Gainesville is probably somewhere in that 40 to 60 million range. Somewhere like Tampa or Jacksonville, you're looking between that 220 to 300 million range. Most victims are recruited at 12 to 14 years of age. The most requested age of sex buyers is 14 years old. The average life expectancy of a victim is 7 years old. We have 7 years to find or recover a kid before it could possibly be too late. Every year, around 400,000 children are reported missing around the world, and that is 1,100 per day. How does someone become a victim of sex trafficking? It may not be how you think. It's not as much as a snatch and grab, although it does happen. Most victims are trapped through manipulation. A pimp will connect with a potential victim through social media, video games, school activities, texting, Snapchat, etc. And they create a relationship with the victim and sometimes their families. Over the course of weeks to over a year, pimps will divide the relationship the child has with their family, creating tension with their loved ones, and eventually manipulate the person to run away or be picked up. To disassociate themselves from society and their family, the pimp then becomes their life. They are often given gifts and made to feel loved and special, reinforcing the dependency on the pimp. Quickly, they get caught up in what we call the life, and often are hooked on drugs and too embarrassed to come home or even call their family. The landscape has changed. You no longer see hookers on corners or sex deals going down in public, but they are still happening and they're on the rise. The meetings are handled digitally. Pimps and buyers are using apps, websites, and are always creating new ways to elude law enforcement. So I want to take this time to add in a couple personal experiences, one of which is a girl who was able to prevent being trafficked. This happened in LA, and the girl had a couple of her friends with her. They were about 14, 15, and they got dropped off at the mall in a good part of town, and their parents said, "Hey, we're not gonna be able to pick you up, so get an Uber to take your way home." So after they were done at the mall, they called for an Uber, and the Uber arrived, or so they thought. The man pulled up and said, "Hop in, I'm your Uber." And the girl replied, "Well, it says on the app that you're supposed to be in a red Corolla, and you are not." And she pretty much told him that she doesn't believe that he's the Uber that they hired. And he took off and skidded away. And this is a very smart girl who was raised by someone who fights human trafficking. But it's good to know that that's possible, that they can be able to recognize danger and be able to walk away. I also want to share with you one of our first operations. It was actually our very first operation that I did and that my organization did. And that happened down in Tampa, Florida. And we had a couple leads. And so we took them and ran. One of those leads was a phone number to a girl that possibly worked at a lingerie modeling agency. Hidden. It was hidden as a lingerie model agency, but was possibly a trafficking business. And so I gave this phone number a call, and the girl answered, and I asked her name. She said, "My name's Megan." I said, "Well, it's great to meet you. What do you do?" She says, "Oh, I'm a lingerie model." I said, "Well, great." She was stuttering a little bit. And once we rescued them, spoiler, sorry, we were able to recognize what drug she was on, and which is why she hesitated and had a lot of issues speaking to me on the phone. But to continue our conversation on the phone, she then told me where she worked after I'd asked. And then I asked her, "How many of you are there?" She said, "Oh, there's 11 of us." She's like, "But 2 ran away." And I said, "Run away? Are you not free to come and go as you please?" And as she was about to answer that question, a door opened and she hung up the phone. And so luckily I was able to gather enough information to what she gave me, her location and the name of the business that it was. And I was able to have some people on the ground undercover watching that business for about a couple hours, and they were able to confirm that this was where they were keeping them. We were able to contact federal and local law enforcement, let them know this is what we're going to do. We would love your backup and support. And within that day, we were able to bust up that business, close it down, and rescue those 11 girls and get them into a safe home. And that's kind of a little bit of kind of what we do. We do a little bit of everything. But the truth is, yes, we have been able to recover victims. Yes, we have been able to safely get them help. However, we also have discovered the importance of educating people on the tactics used. Like the girl was very, very trained to know what to look for. Starting last year, we have begun offering seminars to prevent potential victims from being trafficked. We share the tactics that we have found that the perpetrators are currently using and how to spot warning signs in your friends and your family. We offer these for free to communities and organizations that are interested in helping us to fight this inhumane trait. R3 integrates the use of aircraft, special operation teams, as well as local and federal law enforcement to rescue victims. In order to keep the costs away from victims and their families, R3 operates strictly from donated funds and personal revenue in order to bring victims back to their families. We do everything we can to not be a financial burden to those we are serving. This fight is real, this need is real, and these victims are real. If you think that this is something you can get behind or want to learn more about, please talk to me after. Get my contact information, and we can find a way to partner together to help end this cause. I'd like to open up the last couple minutes that we have for questions, if any have it.
Justin, thank you for that. Can you share with us what R3 stands for?
Yes, so R3 stands for Rescue, Recovery, and Redemption. All of the pieces that make this work, getting the rescues, getting them recovered, and the redemption of them being able to come back into society and make a difference.
What is the oldest person who is not a pimp? Who do they actually graduate?
So a lot of what we found, which is why I'm not particularly an enemy to pimps. I've found that a lot of them are mafia bound at early ages, or in different gangs, and they will be raised in it from the time they were 14. And they don't have any education. All they know is this. And usually they kill their first person by the time they're 16, and already have an extreme criminal record to where they could never work anywhere else. And so it sets them up to only be able to be a pimp or do something unlawful.
I'm asking about the women.
Oh, okay. So the girls, the oldest I have seen is 50 years old. But youngest I've had is 11.
And what was the information about activity in Alachua County or here in the Northeast?
So I will work anywhere nationally, up to internationally. It does have to be an American child, or I have to be working with an international organization so that they have somewhere to go, because I can't bring them back over the border. But to answer your question, this is Alachua, this is Gainesville. I've done a lot of my work, Jacksonville and Tampa. We work with a lot of organizations here in Gainesville, but we're scattered all over Florida. I've been just about everywhere doing work.
Thank you, Justin. I appreciate your presentation and bringing this forward to a group of people who hopefully have inroads into the different organizations. And I guess my question is can we, as members of Rotary, who also are on boards of other groups in town that may serve populations that are marginalized for whatever reason, And that seems to be maybe where some of the victims that are trafficked might come from, although I do know that they come from other walks of life as well. How can we help facilitate you to get this information out both to parents and to the people who might be victims?
So the best way is just to be able to share. We're never too busy to be able to share what we do to help possibly prevent this from ever happening to a child. And so the best way to help, get our contact information and share it. Share it with your friends, your family, your communities. Even if it was just a family and they lived in a bad part of town, they knew their kids were growing up in something, whether it was a church, whether it was a different organization. I would love to do a conference with them and be able to speak with them, to be able to share how to stay safe, how to avoid getting in that situation. And that's for parents and kids.
Okay, so I have a question about how, in this sort of your story, how you became involved with this particular dilemma in our society.
Okay, so other than calling it a calling, I can't say anything else other than God put it on my heart when I was 15, 16 years old, and I started doing dumb stuff. From that time where I grew up in Dallas, Fort Worth, on my own on the streets, and I just started teaching myself and learning. I then joined law enforcement, but knew that's not where I wanted to be. It wasn't my end goal. And so I got called to fly. So I have my my pilot's license, and that's just another tool under the belt. But to conclude, other than it being a calling and me getting education from previous CIA guys, from Army Rangers, they all believe in the cause, and they are willing to train me and teach me everything they know so that I can do this better.
Thank you, Justin. I've been warned to only 2 questions. One, okay. First question is, what is the statistics locally for Gainesville and Alachua County? And then finally, we are seeing organization international doing some human trafficking under the disguise of work, and particular places like Africa, where work is, it's easily to be so told you coming to work in this country and then you trap. How do you deal with those situations? Thank you.
So statistics for Gainesville and Alachua. Apologies. Gainesville and Alachua, I can't give you exact numbers. I can give you instances that I've seen. The issue is with human trafficking statistics is there hasn't been funding to do more since 2017. And so we're very behind in what the current numbers are, other than the fact that we've seen them growing. But to give you a good range, I'm not sure exactly what statistics you're looking for, but there is little gang activity here. It is going on. There's a couple different gangs, and they are running human trafficking, but it's doing it more under our nose, more in a sense of they're using massage parlors or different. I mean, I've seen taco trucks, but they have buildings in the back. And so there's a lot of different ways that they hide it that may not be what you're typically used to looking for. But to answer your question for the international, how to avoid seeing it in a light of business. So we've seen a couple times where people will be told, hey, if you go here, we'll pay you. This is now your job, but not tell you the exact work that you're doing or lie bluntly about what you'll be doing. And once you get there, you're then ensnared in what they're trying to do. And that does happen very often, especially in less than fortunate countries such as Mexico right now, father's trying to pay off a debt, and so they'll sell their kids to go across to not to work off the debt, then be able to live a better life here. And so we see a lot of that as well.
Mine goes to that question also. You mentioned at the beginning of your talk, you estimated 44 million in Alachua County and Gainesville. Wow, that's an astounding number. How many trafficking persons would need to be involved to generate that kind of revenue? And second one, the border. We're hearing all of this stuff and the traffickers coming across the border and the Mexican cartels are basically running the whole operation. And, millions have been coming in for the last couple of years. Those two items, but the 44 million just is a huge number to me.
It is insane. But to answer that question, there are, just to have an idea, a pimp can make, with 3 girls, he can make up to about 2,000 to 8,000 a week. And that does come with a lot of abuse to be able to make and profit that much money. But so if you add up the amount of pimps and what kind of businesses they're running, it can be crazy. And it also depends on the personnel that they've kidnapped, how much people are willing to pay. And that also has a significant factor. But in regards to the border, and of course, this is not from any political standpoint, but the border being open has allowed a lot more drugs, trafficking victims to be able to come through freely, which also means kids can disappear from America quicker, go to their seasoning period in Mexico, for instance, and then be disappeared for 6 to 8 months, and then bring them back to America to sell. And at that point, most people have given up on looking. And so they disappear and come back. And so the border being open, a lot more people being able to travel through is a very large issue. And it's not being regulated, which means drugs and people can be moved about without any control.
Hi, I'm Greg Young, and my question is, in terms of the education of potential victims, is that something that can be moved into public schools in terms of getting it to a broad audience? Is there any issues with that?
Absolutely. I haven't had any issues with that. I've actually been working with a couple schools local to me and getting into where we can make presentations to those schools. And that is a big thing that I've been wanting to do, that I've been working toward, is letting those schools know abroad what the issues are and what to look for, because that would make a huge game changer, rather than just being able to go into organizations or churches, because that's such a limited group. And so, yes, that would be a huge issue, huge help to be able to get into those schools and talk.
We have a question for you from one of our members online, Jenny Van Hart. Do you limit yourselves to rescuing women?
No. I tend to favor the word her, just because that's what we've done. And that's a good majority of what there is to rescue. It's up in the 75, 80 percentile for female, and it's about 20% for male. And so we would not stop for just female or male. We would be able to rescue both, and we have houses for both.
One more question from online. Are you a 501c3?
We are working toward that. We're a year old now. And so, as I was advised, not to do it yet, but we are working toward that now. What we are and how we are presented as a 501c3 is that we have multiple organizations above us that monitor us and make sure we're running as a 501c3 style until we can get all the paperwork done. So we are currently as a business, but we have churches and other organizations that hold us accountable and help us and guide us. And so that's what we're doing now. But hopefully as of next year, we will be a full 501c3. So we have a lot of people that are a part of different organizations. We have created a very large network all over the country. There is me, And there's my operations director. And then I have people that I can call that can go do operations. I have people that can call that can give me intel for investigations. And so the number is honestly huge, but directly in my organization is very few.
Site, oh, sorry. Do you have a website or other resources that maybe you could pass on to the Rotary and we could, send out?
Yeah, I will give out business cards, and I have pictures or papers of my website, my Facebook, and all that. And I'll put them out on the table. And if you're interested, just come by, snap a picture, or look it up, or I'll hand you a business card, and we can go from there.
Wow, Justin, thank you. I want to just, in the interest of transparency, I'll tell you that we didn't just suddenly find Justin to come take a place here. He's been on the list to speak to us for a while, and fortunately, he was able to pivot when Jolene couldn't make it. She had something come up and answered the call that Eric made yesterday. So thank you for your flexibility. I'll tell you, Justin, I personally, for me, a child and human trafficking is something that I wasn't keenly aware of until we had a gentleman speak to us in September from PACT. Have you heard of PACT? Yeah. Well, it feels like the prevalence of this has just increased a great deal. Is that really happening? Yeah. Well, wow. I mean, that said, the service you're providing our community and your calling, as you say, your background in law enforcement, but getting into the dirt with a situation like this, trying to better something that really needs help. We appreciate that. And I appreciate your talk. We appreciate your talk. We have a gift for you to just kind of something for you to remember your talk, remember your experience here, and remember your visit with Rotary. Rotary International. We're talking about 1.4 million folks worldwide, 36,000 different clubs. We're one of those 36,000 clubs. So you got a diverse group of people committed to trying to make the world better and to affect lasting change. And to me, that's exactly what you're doing with your operation. And we just appreciate it. This coin I've got for you, Justin, has on the front, it has our Rotary International motto, which is service above self. And on the back, it has our four-way test. The four-way test is something that guides us as Rotarians in our interactions with each other, our interactions with business associates, personal interactions outside of Rotary. But it's something we run by everything we think, say, or do. We ask, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? So this is for you. And again, we appreciate you being here. This could be an organization that might interest you. Thank you, Justin. Okay, folks, the last thing that I wanted to mention, most of you have been reminded about this, but we continue to do our best to provide the right amount of food and excellent food during our luncheon. So I just want to remind you to please try to register when you get those 2 emails on Wednesday and then again on Friday from Joe Floyd, our executive secretary. Joe, he's with us. He's in charge of these Zoom meetings also. Joe does so much for us, but we send those 2 emails out because it I'm not going to belabor this, but it really helps us to do a good job for our club with the lunches, working with Hills. And, again, anyone can just simply email me or even text me, as many of you do during the weekend, and I'll take care of the registration for you. So if it's really still inconvenient to make that commitment the week before, just let me know and we'll take care of that. We have our 50-50 Rotary Reading Safari drawing. The last three numbers are 217. Thanks, everyone. Happy Easter, and we will see you next week.